Welcome to this week's episode of the Last Night's Game podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butchon Siegfried. And today I'm excited about every podcast topic that we do. But today's, I have been laughing out loud reading the notes for this podcast and here to share all the insights around this amazing podcast about alleged stories in sports is my brother Scott, my co host. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. Today's one of the more exciting and entertaining podcasts we'll do all year. Before there was the internet, before everyone had camera phones, there are these alleged, possibly true, maybe true sports stories that have grown throughout the years, like a game of telephone.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to you before this, we briefly talked before, and you hadn't heard a lot of these sports tall tales, we'll call them. And I'm excited to get into these, so hopefully people can learn a few of them and be entertained.
Like I said, I was laughing when you were telling me this. I was like, please don't tell me anymore. Save it for the podcast because these are incredible. And one of them is about Michael Jordan. He's staring over your shoulder. You know, I play this game of What's on Scott's Couch when we
Right there.
right there. But what's on Scott's couch? I think there was a shoebox today, but Jordan is staring at us. So
Yes.
start us with your favorite story out of this list because they're all incredible. So if you're like a tune in, tune out to this podcast, this is one I want you to listen to the whole time because they're all really hilariously amazing.
All right, we'll start off, as you already mentioned. MJ is here with us, so we'll start out with an alleged, maybe possibly true story about his career. As you know, at the height of his basketball career in the NBA, he took a hiatus to go play baseball for the White Sox, made it to the minor leagues, didn't necessarily make it all the way. It's a hard thing to do, to transition, obviously, in the middle of your basketball career. But the story that you actually had not heard, which I
I had
assumed
never
you
heard that
had,
story.
it is alleged that due to Mr. Jordan's gambling habits and perhaps gambling debts, that David Stern imposed a secret suspension on him, which caused him to take some time off from the NBA and go play baseball to kind of cool things down.
That to me is absolutely incredible. So David Stern was the commissioner of the NBA,
Yes.
and the fact that he would hand down a secret suspension to suspend the most popular person in the
Hmm.
league, and 3 do it for gambling, which we know Jordan fully admits that he gambles, and I don't know if you would call it a gambling problem, but he has gambles a lot, and that's sort of a notable thing for him.
Hmm.
But this is incredible. Like, and then he's gonna take this time instead of being suspended and say, "You know what? I'm gonna go play baseball instead." Like, who would
Yeah,
take him? Like, the hockey was unavailable and golf
maybe.
wasn't a thing. He played golf. Like, why didn't he go be on the PGA circuit or something?
Probably because he was the king of Chicago, so he could have done whatever he wanted.
It's probably true.
I doubt he wanted to play for the Blackhawks, given the physical nature of the game. So I guess White Sox was the best option, and we don't know if it's true, but it certainly makes sense, and it's kind of fun to just prognosticate because David Stern he was known for having his hands in a lot of agencies that could give out information.
Mm.
Like, he knew things about people that no one else knew, and about his players that were doing things off the court. And he would call them in and tell them he knows exactly who they're hanging out with, what they're doing, and that they need to stop.
That's interesting. I did not know that, and he looks like the most unassuming, like, he should be
Oh
your
no.
accountant or, like, your family attorney, possibly your family physician. He
Yes.
just has this very unassuming nature about him, so I had no idea that he was basically, like, because I think that way about the NFL.
Yeah.
I feel like they know everything about anybody, but they're this dynamo. I had no idea that David Stern was like that.
He was don't let the looks deceive you. He was a vicious,
He had people.
vicious man. There's a story about Carmelo Anthony, who he was hanging out with people he shouldn't have, and David Stern called him and told him he needs to stop, and he had no idea that how he found out. So
Well, because now you've got guys like John Morant who's, like, flashing a gun on Snapchat, and you're like, "Well, that makes sense because they're catching themselves," but this was before a lot of that was an
yes,
option.
nowadays players just telling themselves with social media, so it's not even, they don't even need connections in the FBI or CIA or whatever he had.
That's amazing. I had no idea, like, that out of it, if you would have given me every commissioner of sports ever in, like, a
Hmm.
lineup, I'd have been
Not
like,
him.
"That's not him. He's not
Correct.
the guy with people," but
He
he's got a
is.
guy.
He was. R.I.P.
Okay, that's true, yeah, but
Yes.
he was the guy.
Yes. So take a year off, get out of gambling debt, and come back and win more championships with the Bulls.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know that he never really got over the gambling habit, so it's more maybe the
He has
debt.
not.
more of the debt thing. If you've ever watched his, the documentary on him,
Yes,
that's still his thing. And
still a
he like,
thing.
wasn't it a thing like he would bet like $10,000 on a hole of golf and stuff like that?
At least, what's it mean to him? He's still
That's
selling
true.
shoes.
That's true. I'm still buying them, so who am I kidding?
Exactly. You're helping.
I'm
You're
actually wearing one
enabling.
now. True. Valid point. Okay, talk to me about this story about Kevin Costner. Now, we all know Kevin Costner from Yellowstone, but earlier in his career, he was in Dances with the Wolves. He was in, I almost said Angels in the Outfield. That's not the right one. Why am I blanking on his
Field of
baseball movie? Field
Dreams.
of Dreams. Thank you. And Bull
Yes.
Durham. So he was in a lot of sports movies back
Baseball
in the day.
specific.
Baseball specific. Apparently, baseball is gonna be our theme for the first couple.
Yes.
But talk to me about how Kevin Costner almost ruined history, but
Allegedly.
allegedly,
Almost.
basically, in theory.
This is one of the stories that was far before the internet, far before any social media. So it could possibly be true, could possibly not be true. We'll never know the truth, but no one's really, they've denied it, but never really said it wasn't true. So for those of you who don't know, Cal Ripken Jr., when we were growing up, was the star baseball player. He set the record for consecutive games played at 2,632. So he played every day, never missed, no matter what. But on August 14th, 1997, there happened to be a mysterious power outage at Camden Yards, home field of the Orioles. Although there was allegedly no other outages anywhere in the area except for the baseball
The baseball
stadium.
stadium, okay.
And the story behind that is that Cal Ripken Jr. and Kevin Costner met at a premiere of a movie. And then at some point, Cal caught Mr. Costner with his wife and
With Ripken's wife, yes.
with his wife, and then they got into a brawl, into a fight, which would have knocked Cal out of the game. He wouldn't have been able to play based on this alleged fight. So,
Because he hurt his hand.
yes.
So Cal Ripken catches Kevin Costner with his wife.
Hmm.
I don't know who beats who up, but it hurts his hand.
Yes.
And then allegedly he was gonna miss the game because of said hurt hand, so they
Hmm.
turned out the power?
That's the theory.
Hmm.
And so August 14th, there was a mysterious power outage at Camden.
And that's before you could blame it on, like, solar power or anything
Exactly.
else.
Yeah, and no one's also, you don't have TMZ or baseball beat reporters on social media, scouring the internet for rumors and ring door videos or things like that. So,
True. Could you
so
imagine a
the
Ring
ring,
video?
the ring
Doorbell
video.
video?
Yeah, that's how Mr. Belichick got caught the first time.
I don't think I know this. Do I
Or
dare ask?
all kinds of there is a ring doorbell video of allegedly Mr. Belichick leaving a woman's home early in the morning shirtless last fall.
So
That
Bill
made it.
Belichick was the coach for the Patriots, Tom
Yes.
Brady, that whole era. Now coaches for North Carolina,
Yes.
and in college, and has had a very interesting past couple of months of a
Yes.
relationship with a 24-year-old who lives in North Carolina with him now. Okay, so allegedly that was like a year ago. Okay, interesting.
So we've gone down lots of rabbit holes. But yes, the mysterious power outage that no one could ever say wasn't the reason, or was not the reason, or was the reason. We don't know. But a Costner Ripken fight. Two very big gentlemen. I'm sure it was quite the throwdown.
They pulled off their gloves like gentlemen do and slapped each other
Yes.
with them.
Yeah.
If they would have done that, he wouldn't have hurt his hands. So,
Yes. Correct.
see, not so genuinely at all. Okay, the one that I was crying laughing, and I asked you not to tell me any more about it after you told me this, is that Derek Jeter allegedly, I don't think this is allegedly, I think this is like a thing, like, sent gift baskets to people he had one night stands with?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And as you know, we've done some social media posts on Derek Jeter's starting nine, which would be the starting position for every baseball position on the field. And that's one of our biggest social media posts ever. Every day people comment on it. Yes,
I was gonna say Derek Jeter's had a very, his starting 9, a long list of very amazing, actresses, and singers, Mariah Carey, Kate Hudson, shoot, should I
everyone,
just Jessica Biel, like, I mean, you name it. He's married now to a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, and they have 2 children,
hmm
and she's in the Lincoln commercials with him. I think Lincoln. But okay, I just
yes,
wanna give that background of before we go into gift baskets.
yes. So the star shortstop for the Yankees it is alleged that after he had an evening with a woman that they would get a gift basket with autographed items and paraphernalia from him as a tribute to himself.
Can you imagine being the clubhouse guy that has to deliver the, like, Derek Jeter signed ball and a headshot
Yeah,
and
this is me.
just to some woman's "Thanks so much.
Thank you. Maybe you're welcome would probably be.
Maybe. Here's
Yeah.
here's some double bubble or whatever they chew in the
Big League Chew.
Big League Chew, that's it.
Yes.
Sprinkle some of that in there for some flavor.
Yeah, so that's a fun alleged story that
That's
no one can ever prove right or wrong because at the time there was really no social media, so
That is fantastic, and only Mariah Carey knows.
and she hasn't said yet.
Well, Jessica Alba was on the list. That was the other Jessica I was thinking of.
Beal's probably on there too at some point.
I think she is too. Minka Kelly, like, there's a whole list
Yes.
of all the it's incredible. I'm
All
gonna
with
let you
customized gift baskets.
well, all what they probably immediately sold their hopefully they hung on to it and sold it after he got into the Hall of Fame. Their
Yes,
Derek
correct.
Jeter swag on eBay. Where do you wanna go next? Which one do you wanna take?
I want to get my favorite one of all
Yes.
time. We'll go down this rabbit hole. This is not necessarily has to do with any women or anything like that. It's a legendary baseball player, Wade Boggs, who not of this generation. When we were growing up, he was an outstanding hitter, Hall of Fame baseball player, just all around manly man, if you
Old
will.
old school baseball player, like,
When you think baseball player,
yeah.
old school, it was him. He had a prowess for drinking beer, and he said that beer did not get him drunk. So this is one of the great legends of all time that recently he confirmed, I think this year, actually. But
Mhm.
for 20, 30 years, it was alleged that he could crush beers with no problem, and that he drank 73 beers on a cross-country flight to an away game from Boston.
So it was a Boston to LA flight, and from what I read, not
Mhm.
knowing the story ahead of time,
Yes.
he put a couple roadies in his bag till he got to the bus, till
Well,
he got on the plane.
in case you get in traffic
Yeah,
on the way to
you
the
bring
airport.
extras because yeah, you
Yes.
don't wanna not have enough. I'm
Yes.
guessing the bus had a bathroom, but then they got on the flight where he
Mhm.
proceeded to just drink beer and play cards and all the things on the plane, and so that was allegedly in the '70s, the number of beers in the '70s. They did an Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode, am I right
Yes.
around this?
They did, which actually got the story and the rumor back up and going again for a whole different generation who've never heard this one. So they did it. They tried to fly and drink as many beers as possible, and they all turned out to just be completely drunk messes. And they were keeping track of the beers on their shirts. And if you're an Always Sunny fan, you know that it was just an absolute catastrophe, and they all got hammered drunk. But that really inspired the story to come back to light. And Charlie Day, who's in It's Always Sunny, he's kind of a famous actor now, but he said that at one point Boggs pulled him aside and said it was actually 107 beers combined. So
Yeah.
so 73 on the flight, and then they went out when they landed. They went out to the bars and drank more beers,
So he went beers before, pre-beer, in-flight
plain
beers,
plain beer.
post-flight beers.
Yes. So he said it was 107 beers.
That's incredible.
He's got a great quote. One of his former teammates said that basically Boggs told him that just beer doesn't get him drunk, and it didn't matter how many he drank.
I'd be curious though, like after 107, even if they were like the low, what do they call them? Low alcohol beers, like a 2.3 or whatever,
Yeah.
you've got to have 107.
Well, the exact quote was, "Beer doesn't affect me. I don't get drunk unless I've had at least a case and a half."
Well, 107 is more than a case and a half.
Well, it depends how big is your case.
That's true.
You got a 110 pack.
They've taped them all together. It's totally fine. It was just a pack of beer, officer.
And to top it off, he went 2 for 3 the next day with 2 doubles.
It's incredible.
So that's just a manly man, just beers.
I want to wrap us with a baseball one, but we've hit a lot of baseball. Apparently, baseball, y'all have some crazy stuff happening,
And
or just are
there's
not
some
good at hiding it.
no, there's some stories we can't talk about on the podcast too, but
That's true. I want
yeah.
to touch on a couple basketball ones.
Oh, there's a lot. There's some good ones.
This one like blew my mind. It was from 2010.
Hmm.
Delonte West, who was a teammate of LeBron James, apparently had an affair with LeBron's mom.
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly. Reportedly.
Reportedly, yeah. Allegedly, but it seems very true that it's probably more probable than not. And they were teammates at the time. Obviously, they did not remain teammates for much longer. Unfortunately, Mr. West has fallen on some tough times in the recent years. Hopefully, he's getting the help he needs. But at the time, he allegedly had a good time with LeBron's mother.
That is absolutely, absolutely crazy. Like, I mean, I guess it is what it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's 2 people, they're teammates, but I mean,
And based on the age when she gave birth to LeBron, I don't believe that she was that much older
she's
than
not that old.
Delonte at the time. No.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, just and I mean, that was when LeBron played for the Cavs, so he was like
yes.
God.
Yes.
And so I'm sure he was like, "Get this guy out of here," and the next day he was
He
on
was
his way
gone.
out.
He's blacklisted from Cleveland and never allowed back.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully yeah, that's so interesting. I had not heard that. Just like I had not heard that, oh, do we wanna go Tony Braxton apparently in the '90s broke up. This is an old story, and people may not even know who Tony Braxton is, but Jason
Mhm.
Kidd is now a head coach,
For the
but
Mavs.
for the Mavs, but
Yes.
she apparently broke up the Mavs because she went to a hotel to pick up Jason Kidd, her date, and ended up leaving with one of his teammates, Jim Jackson, and we can't dispute this one, or we don't know what really happened because she just basically said, I whether as far as dating, whether it's true or not, I can never kiss and tell.
So she's not going to spoil it.
No, but
So
also
yeah, she possibly broke up what was a very good team, and I think that's how Jason Kidd went to the Suns, if I'm not
mhm,
mistaken.
yep,
So there's the timeline matches up very well to this story to make
there's
it probably true.
well,
Yes,
that's the part about these stories, right? It's like
they're all
they
yeah.
a lot of them all the timelines match up, so we could
Yes,
it could not be true, but it just seems to be eerily in line.
and this was before, like we said, the internet or social media, where anyone could just start rumors.
That's true. It could be just a tall tale that continues to play the telephone game
Yes.
across the country, across the world. Okay, I want you to wrap us with the story of Doc Ellis, the baseball player. Once again, baseball players, this is all a little bit, like, more vintage,
Hmm.
probably before we drug tested on a regular basis. Talk to me about Doc Ellis and why he thought he was pitching to Jimi Hendrix and Richard Dixon was the umpire.
So this was forever. This was like just kind of a tall tale or a rumor, and it actually he came out and proved that it was correct. Doc Ellis threw one no hitter in his career. For those who don't, he was a very prominent pitcher back in the day, extremely good. But the one day that he threw his only no hitter, he was under the influence of LSD, and he did admit to it eventually.
And if I believe the story correct, I don't wanna interrupt you, but he did LSD the day before,
Yes.
didn't realize what day it was, thought he had another day until he
Mhm.
pitched. So that afternoon before the game, he dropped another hit, then realized he had to pitch. So he got on a plane, got to where he needed to be.
Oh, he was in LA when he did this and had to fly to San Diego that afternoon and got there 90 minutes before the game.
I mean, yeah.
So basically, yeah, he was had a little too much fun the day before, LSD and alcohol, and tried to hair the dog it with some LSD, and then ended up having to pitch a Major League Baseball game in San Diego, and threw the only no hitter of his career. And like you said, he had some unusual teammates that day.
Well, good. Did you explain it? Go ahead.
He quoted saying that he thought Richard Nixon was the home plate umpire, and that he was pitching to Jimi Hendrix, who was holding a guitar and swinging it over the plate.
Like, imagine this is like Dumbo. Like, like Dumbo has some weird
Yeah.
hallucinogenic scenes. Like, imagine this is Dumbo,
Hmm.
but in a Major League Baseball game.
Yes.
I mean,
At the
it's like a
highest level.
comedy. It's comedy gold, really, when you think about it. And I guess there was one I read one of the quotes where he said he thought the ball was being hit to him, so he leaped to get out of the way, and it didn't even reach the pitcher's mound. So he just, like, leaped for no reason. I'm sure his coach was like, "What the hell is up with Ellis?" He probably knew, but
I'm sure they knew of his. That's probably not the first time he's done something like that.
oh my god.
Maybe the only time he did it while pitching. We don't necessarily know. But this was 1984, so there was certainly no real TV coverage or anything. You don't have reporters in the dugout watching this guy pitch the best game of his career while also hallucinating.
Sleeping.
Well, I mean, if you can strike out Jimi Hendrix with a guitar, you could strike out a guy with a bat, right?
It's true. I mean, it's true. It's true. I absolutely love this episode. Thank you for sharing these stories. These are phenomenal like poolside happy hour stories. I love these did you knows. They're just so much fun to bring up. And so I appreciate you sharing those with these. I can't wait to share them with other people. So thank you for joining us with this amazing episode. If you love what you heard, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for joining us this week.
Like if you take a flight from Boston to LA, see if you can get 73 in.
I'll try.